Welcome everybody to a new episode of Flower Circus Talks. For the people counting, it's already number 67. Today is a special episode. We've got an award-winning florist from the UK. So I'm very pleased to have him in this Flower Circus Talks. So please give a warm welcome to Mr. Morgan Douglas Nuth. And there he is.
Hi.
Hi. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm well as well. I'm so every time when I see you, it doesn't matter where, you're always smiling. So
Wow.
yeah, and we need that smile, especially now.
It's difficult times right now. So, you still have to find positives everywhere you can. So, yeah, smiles are good.
Yeah, that's for sure. For the people watching, if you have any questions, just ask them in the comments. For the people, the few people who don't know you, can you tell a little bit more about yourself and how you ended up in the flowers? Because that's a special story.
It seems like 100 years ago now. I followed my mum into floristry actually. So my mum was a florist for many, many, many years. She worked quite a few florists. She also ran her own florist, and then I wanted a Sunday job. My dad told me I had to get a job and go out and work and earn some money. So I followed my mum into the shop, and then I kind of just followed her footsteps really. And I found that I really liked the environment. I also really, really loved working in retail. I think that was a big thing for me. I really enjoyed working with people and, sort of meeting and greeting. And even as a little child, I was that child that had the little plastic till with fake money, and I set up my own little shop at home. And and like looking back on it, I think it kind of it somehow sort of set in, and I've always really enjoyed that. So I eventually went and worked just one day a week in the florist. I helped out, and it moved on from there really. I never really intended to. I never thought at the time that floristry was a career for me. As a young child, I didn't really think know what I wanted to do. I made the decision to go off as a late teenager, or in my early 20s, to go off and do a lot of traveling. And I found that everywhere in the world I went, I was able to find a job as a florist. So whether it be in Asia or Australia, and in Europe, all sorts of places, wherever I went, if I was on a working holiday, I found myself getting a job quite easily. And that, at the time, for me, it was just about earning money and staying abroad and having fun and meeting new people. But actually, when I came back to the UK, I realised that not only was I working in other florists, but I was also getting skills and learning different techniques, and and they were also learning sort of how we do things in the UK. And I in hindsight, I found that I'd learned a lot of new skills. And so when I came back to the UK and stopped my traveling and decided I had to be a big grown-up boy and get a job, I found that I was like, actually, I think I'm going to do floristry properly. And I was bench trained for many years, and thoroughly loved. And my mum did warn me. She said it's hard work, you'll get cold, it's not as fun and as as you think it is all of the time, but my goodness, it is hard work. But I think if you do anything well, of course it's going to be hard work. And that's kind of how I sort of almost, I wouldn't say I fell into floristry, I fell in love with it, but over a very long period of time. And in the beginning, I didn't realise how much I would love it. And so I went to work for a florist in London. I ended up buying that florist. Then I bought another one, and now this is actually in my third shop, so which is my third business I've owned in Ascot. So that's where I am today. And so, that's like 25, 26 or something years later.
Wow.
Myself there. So it was kind of inspired by my mum.
Yeah, but it almost sounds like the book of Paulo Coelho, who is when a person is traveling to find himself, and you find yourself. He's traveling all over the world, coming back home, and realize you wanted to be a florist.
Yeah, it really was like that. And and I think with everything in life, I think we do lots of things, and then it's not until you sort of look back and then you realize how great it was and how much fun you had, and like all the skills and people I'd met along the way that inspired, you know, not just learning skills, but they, you know, lots of people inspired me. There was a great florist in Melbourne called Flowers, and the gentleman that owned that, he really inspired me to do like big corporate work and all these other things that I wasn't necessarily experiencing in the UK at the time. And then when I was in Japan, seeing the floristry and the skills out there, they actually just wanted, you know, to sort of see how my floristry was, and I was desperate to see how theirs was. So, you know, the inspiration. And so, yeah, as you say, you know, looking back on things, you always find that you don't realize how much you've gained from life, as you know, in an experience. It's great. I love it.
Yeah, because when you started traveling, you thought you were going to be something totally different than a florist.
Yeah, I mean, I think in my mind, I always knew that I did try other jobs in the other jobs in the UK, but I always found myself coming back to floristry because I really enjoyed it, it was because it was so much more. Especially when you're working in retail floristry, it's so much more than just you know, you're serving people. Every day is different. Every bouquet is different. Clients' needs are different. And then like the world can open up. There's so many different avenues, you know, weddings, corporate events, and, you know, a funeral, and there's so much to it. And I think that's what kept me inspired and kept me going, really.
Yeah, I mean, every flower has a story. Every bouquet or every arrangement has a story behind it as well.
Yes,
For
absolutely.
funerals, but also for weddings, for every big event, people get flowers in. So that's great.
Yes, yeah, and I hope that always continues, and especially now, I think flowers are incredibly important.
Yeah,
It's played a huge part in people's lives because, you know, we're able to connect with them when they can't connect in person, and I think that's has really opened lots of, you know, sort of florist eyes to the way in which they create. And I think people are so much more accepting. Just, you know, they're so appreciative of being able to have flowers in any form,
yeah,
and, you know, to let the florist be inspired by all the flowers that you know they have, and create just something beautiful. People aren't so rigid as they used to be about what they can have, and it's giving them more option. And I think, you know, people are generally very pleased and happy with the way in which things are happening in
yeah,
the forestry right now.
yeah. We'll just say hello to a few people. Alison is saying good afternoon, gentlemen. So Mama Bear is in.
Hi.
Rebecca Curtis is in. Hello, you two.
Rebecca.
Cookie Noyle's in. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Rebecca is asking, which country would you go back to work if you can pick only one?
I would probably say Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And why?
I think the natural beauty of Japan itself, in its landscape and in the general surroundings of Japan, I think, you know, are very inspiring in themselves, let alone their beautiful and unique floristry. It's an amazing country.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe there, but that would be maybe there for a couple of years, and then I'll change my mind and go somewhere else.
You just do the whole tour again.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Kirsten van Dijk is there as well. She's saying, rumor has it Morgan is a druid. Is that true?
Is a what? Sorry?
Druid. My English is not as good as I've got druid.
A druid?
Yeah.
I'm Wiccan. Maybe she means. Yeah, I mean, I'm a believer in Wiccan faith, but I believe maybe that's what she means.
Yeah, let's ask Kirsten if she.
Kirsten, yes. Oh, yeah, I can see it here. Kirsten, room has it that Morgan is a druid. Well, I suppose that's kind of true. My family are Wiccan, so.
Yeah. In a good way.
Yes, in a very good way, of course.
So you said it's your third shop now, right?
Yeah. So I currently own two, but this is my third business that I have owned. Yes.
Yeah, and one is in London, one is in Ascot, if I'm right.
So yeah, I'm currently at the Ascot store. So I work here mostly, and then I have one in Ealing, West London as well.
Okay. Yeah, it's difficult to ask you the favorite one.
They are both, well, the one I own in Ealing is the one of the stores I started at as a teenager. So
Yeah.
I've store for maybe 30 years. I haven't owned it that long. I've only owned it for maybe 15, 20 years, between 15 and 20 years. But I've known that shop almost my entire adult life. So my mum worked there as well. So I trained there. And so I have great affection for that store. But they're very different shops. So I love them both for very different reasons.
Yeah. Also different audience, or?
Very different audience as well. Yes, of course. Yeah. So yeah, on the screen, as you could see, the Ascot shop, the clientele is very different.
Yeah.
The type of product that people want, they could not be opposites, more opposite.
Okay. So it's not, when you're ordering flowers, it's the same for both shops.
I have our bread and butter everyday products, like our Lysianthus and our lilies and our gerbera and all of our standard everyday, both of us would have. Ascot, my Ascot store does generally have a lot more, like Vanda and Cymbidium. I love Vanda and Cymbidium. Cymbidium is one of my favorites. And I'm not sure if I'm allowed to mention, but Seymour Flavour is one of my absolute favorite orchids. I tend to buy a lot of them here. They sell very, very well. So in Ascot, we are surrounded by a lot of garden centres. So and supermarkets, of course. So they generally stock a lot of everyday type product that people are seeing. So we have a lot of more unusual stock here, as well as the everyday as well. Because our clients have got used to us having stuff that other people don't. So I think for me here, that is key. It has played a big part in having people coming through the door. So obviously my Ascot, my Eat London store, the area it is in, even though relatively wealthy, they like volume, and they love chrysanthemums and germini and carnation. I love them too. I adore carnations. But yet the clientele just, also really enjoy them there too. And I think the London scene is, even though you can buy flowers from a supermarket, I think the clientele generally understand that would be for themselves. For themselves, maybe they've got some shopping and they picked up a few flowers along the way because they want to drop it into a vase at home. But when they're buying gifts for, maybe they're going to meet someone for coffee, ladies at lunch, or they're going to friends for dinner, or they're just generally popping something around to say hello, they appreciate that they would do that from a florist. They wouldn't buy that necessarily from a supermarket. So that's why the type of clientele is very different, and are buying generally the same, but also the way.
How big of a role does branding play to stand out of all the competition around you, like the supermarkets and maybe other florists?
I think branding is obviously incredibly important. I think you have to, I've always given all of the staff and people in the industry, if they ask me for advice, and sometimes they don't ask me, but I give it anyway. I think for me, I've always had, since I've owned a business, the idea that you want the Harrods experience. So some people might go in and just buy a pencil from Harrods, but they want it in the Harrods bag.
Yeah.
Because to walk down the road with a Harrods bag shows that you've been to Harrods, and people are very proud of that. And I think so, that idea behind branding, that you want to be proud that you've got something luxurious and high end, and that it doesn't have to necessarily be $1 million, but it should look it. And I think branding plays a big part in that. So when people come in, if they want just a single wrap stem, or they want a £500 bouquet, and everywhere in between, the way in which it's presented and your branding should stand out and should make people feel really happy. So yes, it's very important.
Yeah. I think even now with social media and people making so many pictures and putting it online, maybe it's even more important because they just post, look what I bought. And if it's nicely wrapped or you've got a great
Yeah,
gift box, things like that,
yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
free advertisement.
And I think a lot of people, I mean, we're trying to be florists and social media gurus and the pot washer, and we're everything. We have to be everything, and we often forget when we're taking photos. We're concentrating so much on the image and the flower that we sometimes forget about letting people know where it came from. And of course, they might be on your page, but will they remember? So in the imagery, have your branding. Use your box. I try and use mine as much as possible, but sometimes you've got to let the flowers talk, and sometimes it's got to be about your brand and your business. So it's finding that very happy balance. It's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
easy.
It's a bit of a mix, but yeah, I mean, in the old days, I mean, it's not even old days. We only had our window to present ourselves, but now we've got so many options to present ourselves.
Of course. I mean, there are and it changes. Sort of what a millennial group might like to see is very different to, a middle age, and every generation these days is on social media, and they all want to see something different. So, and it's along with your branding is also very important about being. It's very trendy now to be eco-friendly and environmentally friendly. So having your branding being 100% biodegradable and all of these things is very important. So those trends to keep up with can sometimes be can be costly, but
Yeah,
also hugely important.
yeah, they are. I mean, sustainability is such a big thing now, and I mean, also the supermarkets are really pushing on that part. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, it just gets into people's minds, and
it
I
does.
don't know why, but it's already been too long ago. I've been in the UK, but they were talking about, okay, we can't use any plastic sleeves anymore. But then I saw just one small tiny piece of what was it, cheese. They were was wrapped in I don't know how much plastic, and I thought, why should we be the first ones as flowers? But
Well, maybe we should be the pioneers. And actually, as florists, it would be lovely if we were the pioneers. And why not? I mean, I
yeah,
brand it on my website, and to my customers when they want something wrapped in paper, I explain to them why I won't. And actually, it's been communicating with your clientele and your customer base is so important, because the more you get that message out and more you make people realize, without lecturing them, of course, but
yeah,
actually people will come in and they will tell their friends, and then word gets around and people will come back. So telling a story is to your customers is very important.
yeah. And that's the thing you can do as a florist, while in the supermarket is just grab the bunch of gerberas and you're out. I mean, we
Yes.
as a florist we can do so much more. We can tell so much more about the flowers, and flowers as a gift. It's great if you give it away. You can tell about the flowers, the information you just heard, that these flowers are from South Africa and these are grown locally, and things like that.
Yeah,
That makes
yeah. And also, and it's also great great knowledge for us guys. And we learn it, we impart it to our staff, and our staff can impart it to customers and our client base. And and it's nice to know these things, and
yeah,
to where everything came from. And I've been really very lucky with floral fundamentals to go and visit a lot of growers, look, Lysianthus and Ansu, and
yeah,
so many, and to name them all would take a long time. But
yeah,
there are so so many, and hearing their story is wonderful, and it reminds you that they are family. They're real people. This is not it's not an automaton grown product. It's
Yeah.
not just factory made. It's cared for by hand every step of the way. And to even impart little bits of that knowledge, I love it when my customers ask, about that's a particularly lovely bloom or whatever they may be looking at. And I say, oh, actually, I know this grower. They're lovely. And why I know them.
Yeah.
And it makes them feel that I have more of a connection to the product I love so much. And makes them believe that I really do care. So,
Yeah. But in the end, and a lot of florists forget that, they see you as the specialist, and if you show that you're the specialist as well, for them that's great.
mm,
And yeah, the story behind all those things, all those flowers, the people behind it. We did a test a couple of times. We showed a flower to people, and I just told the story that it took 7 years before it started to flower, and it was far, far away in Russia. They have almost nobody had seen the flower, and I said, okay, how much will you pay for it? They said twice the amount.
wow.
I mean, and that were florists. I said, okay, now you know why storytelling is important.
Yeah. It really is. Yeah, having that connection is wonderful, and also being able to have the ability to know when you've got something from a really good grower, and having and we're very lucky to live in a day and age now where it's so much more so than ever easy to talk to people and to connect with people. And if you want to know more information, you can just log on and have a look. And if you want to go a step further, you can contact them, because actually all I do have not yet met one grower that does not really passionately want to talk to florists about their product.
Yeah.
Whether you buy it for 1 million times, they really want to speak to you, and they're so passionate. So I can't recommend it enough for anyone that wants to learn more about product. Contact the grower. So,
yeah. Well, we got Sally in, and she says, good afternoon, both. Kirsten is asking, which platform on social media do you think is the most effective?
So actually, this is a really good example of which stores work differently. So my London store, the Facebook pages actually works much better in London.
Okay.
I don't know if that's just because in the beginning I set up a Facebook page for that shop a lot longer, so my clientele came quite quickly, whereas the store I think that my Instagram seems to work better. So but I think having a general, and it's you can connect them these days, so you post, it kind of can post across different platforms, but so my general stuff gets posted across all the platforms by one click, and then some of my specialist, more targeted stuff will go sort of on the individual sites. So it's about sort of knowing the customer, knowing the market, but important to have them all.
And are you also advertising there on those platforms, or is it just?
Yeah, we do a little. Yeah, we do have a shop on those platforms, as well as as well as our online presence. And again, that's something we have to be IT gurus as well these days.
Yeah.
we just have to know it all, and you can get lost and drowned in it. But again, I know that with Caroline Marshall Foster, who I believe you've done a talk with recently, and the Florist Guide, there's a group of people on there that all help each other so much. So there is help out there with by connecting. If you know other people in the industry, if you need help, we're all quite friendly. There are a few meanies, but mostly we're all really lovely people. So it's only a case of like saying, I don't know how to do this. Everyone is so happy to help.
Yeah, but you need those people as well, the mean people, so you know who's good.
Yeah, of course. And otherwise we'd have absolutely, you've got to have someone that you're gonna not enjoy, because when we all get together, you got to be, have a little gossip about one
Yeah,
big meanie in the world.
yeah. I think it was 1 month ago you joined the Good Florist Guide as well.
I've actually been in the Good Florist Guide for several years.
Yeah,
I have been in it, but I do work quite closely with Carrie, with looking after its membership and other bits and bobs. Yeah, so it's a great platform for it's. I love that platform. Yeah.
yeah. And you're a hero at helping, Caroline says.
I like imparting knowledge. I don't want to. I don't think there's. I don't think floristry and anything can be. It shouldn't be a big trade secret.
Yeah,
We're all here to help each other if we can, and if I can help, then absolutely. I like imparting knowledge, and whether that be with something technical or with floristry or with branding or good wrapping or whatever it might be.
yeah.
We should help each other, because it will only inevitably help our industry as a whole become stronger and better and more noticeable. And I would like to think that in some small way that in turn makes its way down the line to the consumer, that actually there's a reason why florists should not should not die out. We need to be a really good, strong industry.
Yeah.
And by conveying that to the consumer, the end consumer, why we're so good, then if I can help anyone, absolutely, of course I will.
Yeah, I think that's the great thing of the Good Florist Guide. You just mentioned it already a couple of times. We're florists, but we have to be an IT guru. We need to have this.
Yeah.
We need to have so much knowledge nowadays.
And we can't all be experts at everything. It's the same with floral fundamentals. I mean, the family of everyone that we meet whenever we've been and done photo shoots together, and my family there as well. They're two quite different families.
Yeah.
Essentially, that we are both just simply families. And I know I can pick up the phone. We all get it. I get it too, where I just sometimes need a bit of a pickup or some advice or some help, or I need a particular product. Where can I get it from? People are so happy to give you a helping hand along the way. And both families are very, very dear to me, and they mean a lot.
Yeah. I mean, we're all in the same industry, and we all share the same passion. And we have fierce competition from supermarkets, so we need to help each other out. I mean,
I think the fierce competition. It's really difficult. It's one of those things. I don't know if I understand there is technically competition in many ways. However, I don't think we should compete. No. Those are two very different things, I think. I have a supermarket 2 doors from my store here. I know that there is no, I do not have to compete with them. I don't want to knock out £10 bunches. If someone wants £10 worth of flowers, of course I will.
Yeah.
But they know that they can come in and say, I want to spend £10, and what they will get is something that is beautifully wrapped. That it's the experience. So when you go to a supermarket and you want to give a gift, you can't get to the till and say, by the way, can I have a pink bow, and can I have some nice branded cellophane, and can you make it look really nice, and a complimentary little greetings card to go with it, and all the extra bits. And when I give the flowers over, say, oh, by the way, this combination of flower actually enjoy a much deeper water, so make sure there's at least 50 to 60% water in the vase, and here's some food and how to care for it. But the people in the supermarket checkouts don't know that, and I'm glad they don't. I don't want them to know that info, because that always gives us a little bit of a cutting, a leading edge on what is considered to be our competitors. But I think we have to remember we are two very different things.
That's for sure, and I think it even helps. I mean, at a supermarket, a lot of people are passing by your shop as well, if it's 2 doors away.
Yeah.
So I think it's even an advantage to be close to a supermarket.
Yeah.
And everybody takes his piece of the market, but don't try to compete with prices or. No. This week they will buy at your place, and next week they will buy there, because it's going to be a few pence cheaper over there.
Of course.
Wow. So there's quite a funny thing how you how you work with bridezillas
Uh-huh.
and the DIY florist bridezillas.
Uh-huh.
What do you do? I mean, I heard it from a good friend. What you do to with people who want to make their own arrangements for a wedding,
Mm-hmm.
you organize something, and I
Is,
thought it
is,
was a
is, it,
great idea.
is this the flower school?
It's the DIY. I wrote down DIY florist brides for people who want to make their own arrangements for during the weddings. That you
Yeah.
organize as a school, maybe you organize a stag party or a hen party. I don't know which one it is, but
Yeah, it's mostly hen parties.
yeah.
So it started because we had one particular, yes, let's call her bridezilla.
We don't mention any names.
No. She was adamant that her and her bridal party were going to do her flowers, and she really wanted me to teach her. And at the time, I had set up the Ascot School of Floristry, where I teach ladies at lunch, and we do a lot of Christmas and throughout the year. And I said to her, well, actually, I mean, at the time I didn't, but it just came to me in a flash. Actually, I can, do for a price per head, you can come and have a glass of bubbles, a glass of Prosecco, and learn how to do it all. And she was like, great, give me the price. So she was very happy with paying the price, and her bridal party came. I taught them all. I didn't make it very hard, but I certainly didn't make it easy. By the end of the class, they were all very happy that they got to go home with like these little gifts that they'd all made. But it made them realize that actually it was a lot harder. Yeah. And there was a time element, there was a skill element. And just by placing flowers into a jam jar was not going to be as easy. That particular one wasn't jam jar, but the idea of just flowers in a jam jar is easy. Well, even that being easy can be made to look terrible. So, and I explained and why, and I would go very much into detail about, sort of color, flow, depth, texture, and all of these lovely words to make them feel quite uncomfortable about making their own arrangements. So by the end of the class, she stopped me and said, actually, I think we're going to book our entire wedding with you. Can you just do it, because it's going to be too stressful. So so I then had this course now available to all of my DIY brides.
Yeah, but that's a great idea.
I turned it into a positive. You have to try and always, if they don't want to use you for the actual event, you can always find a way of making them just spend something with you and turn it into a positive. You've got to be able to do those things.
Yeah, I mean, and if they did the course with you, and they buy the flowers in the end because they want to do it themselves.
Yeah,
that's also okay. I mean,
yeah, I did sort of make it a few things. I tried to make it as hard as possible so that it was so difficult for them, and I introduced a couple of sort of wiring techniques and things that I knew that they wouldn't cope with, and explained to them why that you couldn't possibly do it any other way.
Yeah. And especially after a few glasses of bubbles, then it was.
Yeah, I tell them it's to help creativity, but actually it's to make them not do such a good job.
Oh, that's great. You got a big compliment from Alison. Morgan is a shining example for professional floristry worldwide.
Oh, bless her. Thank you, Alison. That's very kind. She's she is been very, very good to me in my career. And yeah, she's always been very helpful. I love her to bits. Yeah.
You've got 2 stores, but you're also still normally, I don't know what normal is anymore after 9 months of being in lockdown, and but you did shows as well.
Yes.
And quite a lot. I mean, the Leeds Castle.
Yeah.
Something you did.
Leeds is one of my favourites. Yeah, it always has been. Love Leeds Castle, as well as Chelsea Flower Show is always, of course, wonderful. I love it. I love it so much. But that's often incredibly hard work, as it's very exhausting with that. So mentally and physically, with Leeds Castle, it is very much more about. Of course, it's hard work. Oh, look, there's my little group, my gang. It's of course it is tiring because it's a lot of work that goes involved, but it's incredibly enjoyable, and it's in a 900-year-old castle, and it's just divine. I love it, and I've worked maybe 4 or 5 times at Leeds Castle. Wow, I've made some fabulous friends through that, so yeah, love it.
Yeah, I mean, for the people who don't know it, it's more like the Olden Bieze of Belgium, and you've got the Leeds Castle.
Yeah, I'm just giving some key story. Yes, Holden Beeson is wonderful, and yeah, I'm going to definitely get there one day. Definitely, I would love to do that one. So that's on my list of things to do before I stop playing with flowers, as my customers like to think I do. And I think you can take it as a bit of a negative, and they say, "Oh, you must love playing with flowers," and yeah, I do. And of course, it's more than it is more than playing with flowers. But if you can make it look that easy, and that's kind of a good thing. That's a good thing.
That's sometimes the stupid thing that they say, oh, it looks so easy, you're just playing with flowers. I mean, I for sure can't drive a Formula One car. It looks easy when they're just driving. Didn't look easy last weekend, but I mean, the people just think, it's nice. You see flowers and you play a little bit with it and it looks nice. It's not like that.
Yeah, and it's repetition. You do something often enough, and it becomes second nature. So and actually, and that's why. So originally, when I got to this, bought the store here 6 years ago in Ascot, there was a wall, and it was very. It was kind of how floristry always was. So there was this shop front, flowers and gifts, and then there was another room that people never saw. And that's where the florists would go and make them, and they just appear with this product. And on the first day of taking this store over, I knocked the wall down and made it all open, because I want people to experience and see the creation, see the creativity, see it being, made from this idea in their head about the flowers they've chosen, and then into it. If person has made it, it's not something that has just magically appeared, and they really enjoy watching you create. It just puts that extra level of special onto the product.
Yeah, and again, you can communicate with the customer as well and tell about the product, why it's so special.
Of course.
And that's much better than I always tell during our shows. Like a Dutch Chinese restaurant, there's just a little tiny hole in the wall, and it opens up, and then you get your food. What happens there is a big mystery. We got a lot of comments coming up. Sally is saying, Morgan did a fabulous workshop for my contemporary design group. Very generous with everything he did.
Oh, Sally, thank you. That's so kind. Yeah, that was really good fun. That was really, I do a lot of workshops with lots of different companies in the UK, and whether it's a demonstration or whether it's workshops, it's always really, really good fun. Again, that's more about just imparting a little bit of knowledge and, sort of showing your take on something. I mean, we can all play with flowers, but we all do it a little bit differently, which is, you never stop learning. I've learned off of so many and continue to learn.
Yeah, and you've got one coming up as well via Zoom, right?
Yeah, I've got 2 next week, 2 Christmas classes next week on Zoom. One for Hearst magazine, which is a big London and worldwide publication, and one for ladies that just want to have fun. So yeah, I've got 2 next week, which is great. And again, we had to adapt, because normally everyone would be in the flower school, and we'd all be having a great time. And I had to think, right, well, if we were already pre-booked almost fully from last year, so most people either rebook the same time, same date, or and they bring more. So we were almost fully booked. So we had to introduce new dates, and then when we went into our second lockdown, we had to say, okay, well, these ones are not going to happen. Let me get the kits out to you, and we went by Zoom. So yes, of course, I know I'm not going to be with them in person. I'm going to enjoy not having so much mess to clear up. I won't, I'm not going to go around to everyone's house and tidy up for them. So if you make the mess, that's up to them. But yeah, it actually makes me realise that actually I could probably next year maybe do the flower school and a few Zooms, so doing things a bit differently. So yeah, I'm looking forward to those.
Yeah, actually, it's a bit different, but we've got the same. We're doing the online flower shows every first Friday of the month, and then let's hope beginning of next year we can travel again. But we still want to do those monthly shows online, because we reach so many people. We can't travel all over the world.
No.
Or we can't be everywhere at the same time.
Yeah.
So we keep on doing that as well.
Yeah. I mean, traveling is something I am missing so much. Just prior to lockdown, the first lockdown, so actually just prior to sort of COVID becoming a big thing, I was in Philadelphia working on the Philadelphia Flower Show. With Chris, and her team, and it was phenomenally good. I enjoyed that so much, and that's having those opportunities. Chris and Bill Schaefer. Do you know?
Yeah, of course.
Who doesn't know them? God, they're so famous and lovely. So working with them again, I'd never. Even though I've been to the States many times, I've never worked in Philly. I'd never really done a big show on that scale over in the States, and having that opportunity was fabulous. Seeing loads of different ideas over there, and it gets your energy up and make you come back with so many ideas. So not having the ability to travel at all right now has meant that you have to have a different head on, and you're thinking, right, how can I do things different? How can I, sort of be inspired by other people? Yes, of course, social media is great for that, but it gave me an opportunity to sort of empty the cupboards and think, right, I've got this, what can I do with this time? And and whether it's going to be for retail or for future projects, or sort of just having another think about what you can keep doing to keep yourself occupied and to have fun. Because yes, of course, I have to make money by making products for consumers, but I also want to make sure that I can make things just because it's fun as well. It's very important.
Yeah, you have to enjoy your work, even now it's more difficult with the lockdown and everything, but you still need to enjoy it. And let's face it, we're, as florists, you're one of the most creative people running around in this world. So use the creativity as well to find new ways to sell flowers or get flowers to people.
Yeah.
Actually, good news. They want you back in Philly, Alison says.
If I go back next time, I might never come back. I loved it there. It was so much fun. We had such a good time. So yeah, and I know that I went with I knew, very lucky to have actually knew a lot of the people that we travelled with. And we took a really good friend of mine, Nicola, as well, Nicola Evans down in Eastbourne from Florist, and she came with us. And again, I've always been, I've been very, I've worked hard. I've been very lucky. I've had lots of opportunity flow my way. So I also think it's very important to then help that flow continue. So give other people those opportunities as well. and let them shine and develop and become, you know, and do something, have experiences that they may never have been able to have the opportunity to do. So, you know, and Nikki is very hardworking. She runs a business. She's a, you know, full-time mum. She's a, you know, she has 2 shops as well. So
Wow.
she's great at what she does. She's incredibly talented. So I wanted her, you know, her to be able to come along. The picture you showed earlier on in Leeds Castle, you know, with Karen Lindsay, amazing talented florist up in Scotland, and Kerry Walker, who has a shop in Wallingford. Great girls, hardworking, and all of them have the same attitude that what they learn, they
Yeah.
will impart to other people. So I've
Great.
always liked to work really closely with those guys.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's great to have a team like that. Kirsten is asking, what a cocktail party at Leeds. What was the inspiration for the Chelsea last year? You featured the roots of plants and flowers. So inspirational.
Thank you. That's very. So the Chelsea exhibit was inspired by, Floral Fundamentals was the main sponsor.
Yeah.
The idea, always wanted to, I wanted to do something that really showed off all the growers that were part of the Floral Fundamentals family. So there was some very tall structures with perspex, a glass, which represented the greenhouse, the growing, how the flowers are grown and what they're contained within. And then, of course, there was all these beautiful flowers from all the growers that kindly donated all the flowers over to us, were then incorporated into sort of sculptures and shapes within. And then the root, the Phalaenopsis avanda root was actually sort of trailing down, which showed, you know, that they are grown. So that is all sort of incorporated into how, you know, things are grown from root to bulb to the flower, and then it's cut and then it's made into these beautiful designs by amazing teams. I was very lucky to have some of the, you know, best designers in Europe come and help me.
That's great.
Yeah, I mean, God, you know, such a talented bunch, and I was, you know, of course, I had my rock Laura Leon with me, who just kept me sane throughout the whole thing. She's so wonderful. She's so calming and nice in every single way. And then in the floor in the exhibit as well was lots of you know, sort of the actual bulbs as well. So it kind of showed from the ground up how things develop. That was the inspiration behind it, and it was one of my most treasured moments of my career. Just amazing. Loved it.
Yeah, I think I've got a picture here coming up right now.
Okay.
As well. Yeah, I think it's the right one. Let's hope. Another one, it's from the year before.
Yeah, it will pop up on my screen in a second. I'm on a little bit of a time lag.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that is the one. Yes.
Yeah,
oh God, it makes me really emotional. It was so much fun. Yeah, that was great.
It's really beautiful. I mean,
it was. Yeah. It was one of the most photographed exhibits that year. I mean, by far, and it's not just because it was not. I'm not just saying it. I mean, it wasn't just my exhibit; it was all of our exhibit. But it really was photographed so heavily because it was one of the very few just pure floral exhibits in the marquee that year, and it really stood out. There's just no words, really. I love it.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful, and it's. I mean, I can see it still gives you the goosebumps. So.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it really does. Yeah, and Alison's right. The Queen's Corgi did love the floor.
Yeah. No, it's really beautiful. I mean, yeah, you're very talented, without a doubt.
Well, I mean, none of that would have happened without, obviously, of course, the entire team. It might have been my concept, my baby, but that baby was brought to life by, Sue from Floral Fundamentals. I mean, she was amazing. She's incredibly talented. She helped in so many ways, as did them all. Sue Phillips was, she was great. So it wouldn't have happened without any of them.
No, you need a great team. This is work you can't do alone.
Yeah. And, even when things are stressful, you might be able to snap at each other, but you can all have a hug at the end of the day. And that's something else I'm really missing right now is my hugs from all of my floral family.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's a returning subject from everybody I'm doing the interviews with. I mean, it's such a shame we can't see each other, hug each other, and look at each other's work.
Yeah, and let's face it, we can do virtual hugs, but they're just not the same. So everyone is going to get 500 proper hugs when I see them.
You're going to be really busy.
Yeah.
You also have a web shop with
Yes.
your stores. Did you see a big peak when the first wave started, and now that second wave is going on?
Yes. Well, so initially in the first peak, the first time we were forced to close, we had great difficulty, of course, obtaining enough flour.
Yeah.
And it wasn't about getting any flour; it was just getting enough variety. And I think it was quite important initially to actually shut the store. It was something I made the decision to do.
Yeah.
And it was a little bit of a combination. So I did, after a few weeks, I was missing, of course, working with flowers. So I did then go back online for the ability to be able to deliver. And yes, there was a great demand, and especially for there were a lot of funerals that needed facilitating. We had a lot of people desperate to send flowers to their loved ones, just birthdays and everything. So yeah, there was a really big peak in people wanting to send flowers and plants as well. I mean, plants, wine, of course. You can't live through COVID without wine. That's very, very important. So
Talking about that.
there was a big.
Alison is saying blooming right, big hugs and shampoo.
Yay, definitely shampoo. There was definitely a big peak, and I think people were very desperate to connect it with a message and a gift.
Yeah.
So yeah, we saw an increase in consumers that we'd never seen before as well. So a lot of our website was with new customers and people that because I can ascertain on our website whether they're returning, how they've placed the order, how many times, and all of that sort of data. The amount of new clientele that was picked up along the way was brilliant, and they were incredibly grateful. So yes, I did have the ability to then start getting flowers in again, and I was very cautious. And then I realized actually, I was almost buying the same amount as I would with my doors open.
Yeah.
That was surprising.
Yeah.
So, and people were very generous with the amount, the volume, the spend they were actually doing as well. So, whereas, the normal per head was somewhere in the region of, say, £45 ish. The spend during the first lockdown went up dramatically to around £67 on average per head. So it was a big increase. People were being very generous. This time round, second lockdown, not quite the same.
No, yeah. I think there's more uncertainty now if people keep their jobs, things like that.
Yes.
So that's why they are a little bit.
And a lot of redundancies. We've been quite lucky that we've had a job retention scheme, so in the UK. But I think people are being very cautious this time now. It's getting also closer to Christmas.
Yeah.
November is, historically a relatively quieter month than some others. It is getting closer to Christmas, and people are more and more unsure about whether, what money they will have spare, and they're saving for other things. And no one had a real proper summer holiday, so maybe that's why spend was better in the beginning.
Yeah.
There's so many. Everyone had a different reason. So it was very hard to sort of pinpoint what was happening and why it was happening. However, there is a definite change in between first and second time round.
Okay. Kirsten is saying Christmas is gearing up to be bigger than Mother's Day here in the US. Green selling out and so forth. Hip hip.
Yeah, great. I mean, it is. I think it is going to be a good. It is going to be a good one.
Yeah.
I'm very confident that people may. Some of my clientele here that may have been having parties are maybe downscaling, but they're not stopping. Because maybe they're not entertaining for their 20 family members or guests that they're having to family dinners or whatever they may be doing, so they're not doing quite as much. And a lot of my corporate clients are not having trees this year, so rather than them not having their Christmas trees in their offices because everyone's working from home, I said, well, actually, if you've got that budget spare, I was just being cheeky, to be honest, if you've got that budget spare, why don't you send all of your staff members, like a nice little gift for Christmas? Yeah. They can have, whether it be a little plant or a miniature tree, maybe for their office home desk. And she was like, actually, let me think about that. And they placed the order last Friday. So hip, hip.
Great.
But yeah, I know what Kirsten's saying. I do think people are a little bit fed up with being at home. So yes, I think it's going to be very different.
Yeah.
It won't be normal, but I think it will be busy. Yes, I do believe that. So yeah, we need to start promoting, sort of making sure that florists get out there now.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, Piet Verkamp joined us as well. Lucky I'm still in time. Hi, Morgan. You're looking great.
Oh, bless him. He always says the sweetest things. I know I look great, Pete. That's very kind of him.
Yeah.
Again, he's a fab guy, isn't he? Love him to bits.
Actually, it was his last working day today.
Ever?
No, he's gonna be around for sure, of course. But at DGI, it was his last day today.
Oh.
So Pete, congratulations!
Oh,
you're a free man again.
Yes, I bet now he'll be working harder than ever. That man will never stop.
No, that's for sure.
He will never stop. He's an inspiration.
Yeah. Well, Caroline is saying it will happen last minute, as always, in such more online and phone, but it will happen.
And that is always, Caroline is right. That is always the way. It's always very last minute. I think people just assume, obviously I skip to work every morning, picking flowers from the roadside as I come along to my shop, and then I arrange them beautifully, because that's how people think I work, in this happy, happy floristry world. But it is always last minute. I think people, we're in a technological age where consumerism means that we can just hop on our phones. We've always got we don't need to be organized so much, because we've always got every web shop available on the entire planet available on our phones. So people just think, oh, I'll do that tomorrow. Oh, I'll just order this tomorrow. I'll get that in. Most of my customers this morning were like, oh, can I have something made within 20 minutes? And well, yes, you can, but I would have. Did you not know it was her birthday the last 365 days?
Yeah.
But that's the beauty. That again is our key selling point. I can do that within 20. I can bespoke something for you. So always going to be last minute. Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable, and I think in the UK you're quite lucky that if you order it now, tomorrow morning you can have it in your shop.
Oh, golly gosh, the way things have changed. I mean, 20 years ago, going to market every morning at 4 o'clock and 4 or 5 in the morning, buying my flower. As much as that was wonderful, I loved it. It was quite sociable, and I got to feel and touch everything. So yes, I still do go to wholesalers when I can. Not much as I used to, because I still want to go and see things, and so going to see the growers and stuff like that, just makes it wonderful. But I kind of missed the social side of it. But what I gained back in hours meant that I found I could dedicate more hours into my business and sort of be creative and really develop my business more, because I had the time. I gained sort of 25 hours a week back from not having to go to market. But technology means that I can go, oh, I want that bloom in tomorrow, and I want this, I need a whatever it might be. This, I need a pink narine. Oh, look, there's 6,000 to choose from. I'll have 10 of those. Thank you.
Yeah. That is totally true, and let's hope it stays the same. But probably with the Brexit, it will take another 24 hours to get it. So it's still quite quick, but that's a tricky part.
May I apologise on behalf of everyone in the UK? There was many of us that I'm still European, and I might actually just move to Holland and do that instead. So
we will just pull back the UK to Holland and we just attach it. So that's a problem.
Like it was Pangaea again.
Well, Caroline just said Pete's retirement will be like mine, an ongoing event. Well, Pete's reacting on that. Indeed, Caroline, I will be around for hopefully many years, many more years.
I've tried to retire many times, and well, she's too important. She can't retire. No, she's not allowed to. Sorry, Harry.
Yeah, it's the same with Pete. I mean, we don't have enough people like that in the industry.
Too few and far between. Yes, they're a unique breed of people. As Caroline, Carrie and Pete and the Alisons of this world. They say something and stuff happens because and it's not because they're bossy or anything else. It's because people understand that they're important.
Yeah,
important to us, and we need a voice. And they are currently, the voice of the industry. There are many others, of course, and none of them, they don't do it for any other reason than the sheer love of our industry. And that's what makes them so special.
Alison is saying we might come with you, Morgana. So it's going to be.
I'll bring a whole group with me.
Yeah. We will just wait for you at the Hoek of Holland.
Yeah,
we organize a party at Beyond Crescent because it's next to the boat there.
It's almost 50% of the population that didn't want to leave, so I don't bring them all, but I'll bring all the best ones.
But you can leave the Marmite behind. That's.
Oh, okay.
That's something we can miss. Yeah, it's really going to be busy. Karen is coming as well.
Oh, good. Yeah. So look, we're halfway there already.
Yeah, that's great. Actually, you know that we are doing the online flower shows every first Friday of the month.
Yeah.
And why don't we do it together one time next year? Yeah. Beginning of next year, I think you would be a great flower magician.
No, for sure. I would, of course, love that. You could have given, of course. How could I say no? I would love that.
Yeah, it's just 2 letters, no. So.
I don't believe in saying no. If I get to do something I love, of course I'm always going to say yes. I would be honored. Thank you.
That would be great. I mean, maybe you can even you're famous for your wigs, so maybe I know for sure it's going to be fun.
Hey, life's too short to be boring. I do love a wig, yes.
Yeah, it's
I know. I was quite bored in the first lockdown because I spent that much time. I loved it. I genuinely still love coming to work every day. I really do enjoy getting up, and I know that I'm quite lucky because there are so many people that don't enjoy getting up to go to work. So I was a little bit bored in the first lockdown, being stuck at home every day. So I did. I did a few. I joined TikTok, put a few wigs on, had a bit of fun. Yeah, why not? I was quite surprised how many wigs I actually had. I may have a problem.
Yeah, you can bring one for me.
No problem. I'm sending one. I'll send one. I've got the perfect color.
Yeah, okay, great. I was walking around in the beginning of Flower Circus with a clown's wig as well.
See, everyone loves a wig.
And I don't know, I lost it somewhere during a show because everybody in the end was wearing the wig except for me because everybody wanted to wear it. So, it's great talking to you, and I think we can talk for hours. But you've got a shop to run as well.
I have, yeah.
Is there anything you want to say to the viewers, or a positive message to the people out there?
I would, golly, God, yeah. There's never enough time really to say everything. But I think, there are so many people across the UK and in Europe and across the globe right now, in our industry that there's people are struggling. Times are not easy, whether they be financially, mentally, physically. Of course, there is a pandemic, so it's quite a stressful time. So I would just say, just continue to always be as positive as you can, be careful all the time, and just truly love working with your product, with flowers, and just enjoy every moment, because one day when you have to stop doing it, you will really miss it. So take every opportunity to enjoy every stem.
It's great words. And don't forget to send your colleagues sometimes flowers as well, because florists love flowers as well.
I very rarely get flowers, actually, but I have had a few. I've been mentioning it quite a few times over the past few, and I know Karen Lindsay sent me some flowers because I think she felt sorry for me. Nicola did. So I have had a couple in the last few years. But yeah, of course, you must. I always make something, often to take home, and then I sell it because that's the job I'm in.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's lovely, and I'm like, yeah, and then I put a price tag on it and I sell it. So
yeah. Yeah, that's actually something we forget. My mom is a florist as well, and when it's her birthday, she rarely gets any flowers because you're already working with flowers. So
yeah, I spend more time here than I do my own home, of course. So actually, it's why I never. I mean, it's terrible, and so I'm sorry for all those Christmas lovers, but I don't really do a lot of Christmas decorations at home because I'm so fully decorated here all the time that actually I feel that my life is opposite. I live here and I go home, but that's where it's like just a bed, where I eat and go to sleep. So I do, and my whole work, my daily life is full of flowers. So I get to enjoy them all the time. So maybe that's why I don't take them home so much. But yeah, I have